Good hello. Now, this person sent me their palms and nothing else. I've got no age, I've got no questions, nothing. I've not even got any fingers. So this is going to be a palm reading in the truest sense. I'm really going to concentrate on pretty much just the lines, the mounts, and the skin ridge patterns if I can. And straight off the bat, I can see actually a break in the heart line. Now, that actually might be the first time I've used that term, a break, because a lot of the time people very wrongly identify an overlap with a break. A break is very different to an overlap, and a break in the heart line could signify something quite sudden and dangerous around their health, with in particular the heart or organs in the chest area. On the heart line itself, we can see an island, and this is located at the beginning of the heart line, depending on which way you personally read the heart line. I tend to read it, well, both ways actually, but mostly from starting at the side of the palm, on the percussive or the ulnar side, the unconscious side of the palm, and just under the little finger here we can see a large island. Now this can represent a hereditary lung or heart issue. The heart line on the right hand looks very different indeed. And also what we can see here is some sort of almost like a doubling here. It's not quite doubling it, it's almost as though the circulatory system is reliant here. There's a need, it's not flowing, the energy isn't flowing well enough, and this is not a blockage as such, but there's certainly a circulatory issue, and I think it's a buildup of metals in the blood. I wouldn't say high cholesterol. I think this is metals in the blood, and mostly this is because, or it's a side effect or symptom of a thyroid issue, but sometimes it can just be because of the wearing of rings. It can be the body's reaction to the close proximity of metals. Sometimes tooth fillings can have this effect on us. Other times it's just poor drinking water. It's the overuse of aluminium cutlery, aluminium foil, and this kind of has built up in the system, and there needs to be some release here. Although I wouldn't say this is a major issue. This break, this island on the heart line, and this break in the heart line on the left hand is an issue. Now the left hand does relate more to what's internal, what's the introspective issues, what's secretive, what's going on inside, and the right hand reflects what's going on physically, practically, materialistically on the external side of things. But being that there are other signs here as well, notice the fate line rises and stops as it hits the headline. We don't quite see the same thing on the right. I say quite because there are some similar indications, as in it's very strong up until a point, and then there seems to have been some sort of family obstacle or influence, and then from then on the career line, it's not as strong. It's not as productive. There's not earning as much money. There's not perhaps as much job satisfaction. Perhaps they had to go part-time. Perhaps there was an issue at home and they had to look after a loved one who became ill. Something like that. There's something that's happened here, and it relates close to home, relates to a loved one. And before we hit 35, 31 or so, there seems to be some sort of after this issue close to home, there's a real drive. Obviously, as I say, there's work is not as possible, and they might be cutting down their hours, and this influence kind of crosses over the headline, and then we see it almost. It kind of looks like it's becoming one with the headline, forming and forking and dividing up towards outer Mars, this place of planning and this need to make money, plan for the future, and build security ahead is apparent here. And we can also see a doubling of the career line as well, and this shows perhaps a second job. Perhaps there is a desire here to turn something else, another skill or a hobby, into something lucrative. And then before this headline fate line connection here, we see at the age of about 33 to 34, we see this need to protect and around both of these incomes. So it could be that it's at this time, because we see this occurring here, that actually this becomes the issue, this break in the heart line. We also see the health line is quite deep and impactful. There is a bit of an island just here on the health line, and that could be an indication of liver function. Once upon a time, this line was actually known as the liver line. It rarely really gives us information regarding the liver. However, there are some circumstances where it does. What's interesting about this line is that it does kind of fork. The doubling of a line shows the feeling of awareness around a person's health at this time, this need to double down on their health, which really indicates that poor health at this time. And that again, that's late to early 30s. And again, from 50s onwards, we see a doubling here. Well, actually, this looks more like a money line alongside this Mercury or health line, or as I say, once known as the liver line. I find this particularly interesting because it's almost like a marriage line rising across the hand, rising up towards Apollo. And actually, I think this is a good sign. I think it's positive. I'm getting mixed signals here. It's one of two things. I feel that this is either, it's not quite a relationship, attachment, union, or marriage line, whatever you call it. It's not quite one of those because it doesn't come in from the side like this. It's from the Mercury mount itself. Okay, so horizontal lines in palmistry generally bad. I'm just sort of spitballing here a little bit. It's an obstacle. It's preventing the flow of energy, of health, of making money. It's looking to prevent this person's peace, prosperity, their happiness, their ability to make money, their creative talents, their expressive side. It's quite public. It's something that everybody knows about. I feel like it again relates to this rather shocking, traumatic, impactful, and potentially fatal, in fact, incident around the break here in their heart line. Sometimes in palmistry, everything leads back to one place. And I don't want to make it all about the heart line here, all about this break here, because there are other things going on. But I do think that this here is it's showing a clear physical obstacle in the path of their peace, prosperity, happiness, their ability to make money. And I do think that it is their health. This shows, this career line suddenly stopping at the headline shows a sudden inability to work, this and sometimes it's this a decision we make that's very sort of in the heat of the moment. It's poor decision making, but I don't think that's the case for this person. I think in fact we have here things that are just completely outside of their control. The headline appears much weaker during this break, and it kind of trails downwards. It pulls down into a darker place, a darker way of thinking. On the right hand, the headline looks stronger now, so we can see that they've managed to kind of come through this. This was in the past, so it's looking like that they were on medication. They weren't able to think. They were hospitalized at this time. Do we see squares on the inside of the lifeline? We do see one here, and that is late 20s. perhaps potentially 30-ish. We see a very strong Mars line and lots of support from family at this time. And this Mars line it shows this need to fight. And we see it in, whenever we face a legal battle, whenever we quite literally go to war, or if we're mending our bones, if we are in need to fight against some sort of illness or strive to rehabilitate physically. What's curious is we see an effort line here rising at 35 or so, at the age of, around this need to protect around their career. It is very interesting. But before I get into that, let's just have a look at, because I did say there were other things going on here as well. Now, early life looks like there was some very traumatic experiences that we've got here. An intuition line here. This is a good sign, and I think this has come about through these early life experiences. The heart line, it's branching outwards. There's this need to protect around this severe disappointment, this not so much disappointment, this hurt. This is traumatic pain this person went through in their teens, and I'm wondering if they lost someone. And it looks like the headline rises out from this period. How could an incident like losing a loved one not shape you at this time? And so that's for me an indicator that this person has lost someone, potentially father. I get the impression this person is quite a sensitive soul, quite a caring individual. The career line does come from a place of working with others, and as I say, there's this sense of the strong intuition, certainly with this person. There's a sense of sympathy as well here, and the fact that they were so hurt by this incident, it stands to reason that we, in order to grow and adapt, we have to sometimes turn the negatives into positives, and I do think that's what this person has done here. Sometimes when life gives you lemons and all that. This is certainly someone who has had to adapt, and I think he's probably quite good at adapting. I believe they've experienced different kinds of heartache in their life. The first one, as I say, was early on in life. I think they've suffered in relationships twice at least, broken-hearted, mid-20s, perhaps 24, and then again at around the age of, I'm not really sure, I'd say early to mid-30s. And mid-30s, as I say, we see this effort line, we see this, I need to get out of this situation. So perhaps that second heartbreak was that for them, and they really felt impacted, and this desire, this need to make a change around their life. And that's when this idea of the second career seems to sort of pick up. But there is this a need, a support from around finances at this time as well. Now, as I say, I have no idea how old this person is, but I will say they do need to look after in particular their heart, of course, their circulatory system, the metals in their blood. This can these issues can be somewhat resolved by getting a water filter, getting rid of everything aluminium in the house. Omega-3 and selenium are good at detoxifying metals in the blood particularly. The other thing I would mention, and I think there might well be some lacking of iron. However, I wouldn't supplement iron without getting a blood test first. It's very easy to overdo it, and sometimes there's other issues, not just like a anemia or a lack of iron. Sometimes it's an inability to process iron, and that would then, there's a danger of it storing up, and that actually could be the issue here. As I have said, this is metals in the blood. The other issue is potentially lung or respiratory issues. I think this is more related to the heart, but I could be wrong. And whatever this issue is, it's major organ issue, and they know full well about what I'm talking about. I know they know. So I'm going to be telling them to suck eggs if I kind of give them any advice, because I know their doctors likely already have, and I'm not going to say anything that they're not already going to say. 2.5 hours of exercise. Make sure you eat your 5 to 7 a day. This health issue may well become a problem in later life in terms of affecting this person's happiness. That's my concern for this person. And I think there's a feeling around that. I think they do worry about their health. I think they already suspect and worry that their health will hinder their life in future, their happiness, their peace of mind, their ability to, operate and function and live rather than just exist. So it's extremely important that this person puts plans into place. They're going to need to utilize that practical, logical, pragmatic, creative way of thinking. And they're going to really need to adapt and be flexible. They're going to need to persevere, and they have this. They have an incredible inner Mars. This sense of drive and motivation is really strong within this person. This person is a fighter in some sense, and the fight they have is actually within, and it's more physical. I think they are going to need to learn how to live with the barriers that their body may well create. I could be wrong. I hope I am. Lines do change. The lines tell us what's happening, what's going to happen if I keep going the way I'm going. If I keep heading down this road, this is what's going to happen. That's what the palms say. So if we change our circumstances in the present, if our environment changes and changes things for us in the present, then so too will our lines change. Because the future, for me, in my opinion, is an ever-changing course of possibilities. The palms show us one of these courses, but this course is constantly changing. So it's never all that definite. Now the lines, some of them change much more than others. The lifeline, the headline, and the heartline are the ones that will change the least. There are changes around these lines, and the way the way these major palmar lines change are subtle. They will change, but they will change less than other lines in the palms. So they're already on a course to making good money. I can see that on the right hand. I think a lot of what I'm already saying they already know, and they're preparing. They are quite a positive person, a little bit sarcastic even, and that's extremely important, to remain positive, to stay positive throughout the trials and tribulations that their body will throw at them a little bit later on. As I say, I think they are prepared. I think they actually know a lot of what I'm saying already. Now, as I say, a break in the heartline can be an indication of something dramatic, something fatal, something potentially life-stopping. Sure, but let's not get carried away. If we start to see actually an overlap here, and the lines could start to form and drift and overlap like this, that shows that the bridging of the gap at the emergency at this time, that shows that it is not potentially fatal. And we could well see that over time this heart line begins to connect. Now, if this only happens in the left hand only, does it mean that this is the past and the past has changed? No, it's what's internal. So it shows our feelings. It does, to some degree, it shows the past, but it shows how we feel about an issue that has been in the past, or it shows how we feel about what might come, or how we feel about our health issues, or relationship issues, or our emotions. I think that if this changes, it shows there's much less of a chance for this issue to occur altogether, or in future if it has occurred in the past. It will show that they feel much stronger about their health. They feel more confidently about where they feel their health is going. The good news is the right hand is much stronger than the left. So this is why I'm thinking that either they have repaired this issue altogether, or this has been and gone. I think it has. I think this occurred mid to late 20s right up to mid 30s. I think that's around this time. And I think there were lots of other things going on for this person at this time. I think it put a strain on their relationship, or more than one, in fact. If we saw this on the right hand, I think this would be a little bit more serious. Now, if this line here was in fact a relationship line that was doing the same thing, it would represent it's the sign of the widow, the sign of the spinster in older palmistry books, someone who had outlived their partner and would never remarry. But as I say, I don't think that's actually what this is. It might be they fear that they will live alone for the rest of their life. I don't think that's actually what this means, because it's on the right hand. I think this is more around a potential obstacle, practically speaking, a physical obstacle. I think this is more health related, as I have said. So I think I'm going to stop there. That's probably about all I can really say on this front. Everyone has their own trials in life, and for some it's their career. For others, it's the people in their life. It's more environmental. It's more the life itself. And then there are others who have troubles with their health, and for this person, health is their trial in their life, in this life. How they adapt to this, both practically speaking and mentally, is really the question. At this particular stage in their life, they feel stuck where they are. As I say, I don't know how old this person is. All I know is their name. That's it. Their first name. That's all I know. So, I have a strong feeling that this person is a very wise soul, and is very in touch with other people's emotions. I think they are, being that it's very sort of simian-like in nature. I think they're very focused, and they have an intensity about them. I think they know when someone is lying to them. I think they're very good at sniffing out that sort of thing. I think they are an incredibly caring individual, and actually I think they have not had a great amount of luck. That's what's shown by this right here. But with everyone that has this kind of poor luck early on in life, it's made up for later on in life. Their 50s will be strong years. I want to see this person's palms again in about a year's time, and we'll take it from there. It would be very interesting to see that. So let me know what you think, and maybe you've got a break in one of your major palmar lines, and maybe that's your heart line, maybe that's on the right hand, and you're worried about this. I mean, if you are, palmistry, it really is a very visual practice, and it's about corroborating circumstantial clues to provide accurate conclusions. It's never wise to look at one sign alone and start worrying. And you can do the same by picking up a book or looking up a symptom online about your health. You can start reading too much into it. So send me an email if you are worried, if that is something that you have got going on in your palms. Perhaps there'll be other things that negate this. Like I see in this person's lifeline, it's strong. The flow of energy after 35 is looking really positive. A bit harder to see on the left, partly because of the lighting, but it is certainly stronger on the right, and that shows their health has improved, as does the heart line being stronger on the right hand. So it's I think sometimes it's very easy to look at one thing and panic, but as I say, it's about connecting the dots and never diagnose from one sign or symptom alone. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.